Okay, so now we need a new committee secretary out of the 4 people that are here today. I think we'll have to include, well, Mr. Funk, but
No, thank you.
no,
No,
thank you.
I'm just being honest with us having a levy going on right now and me trying to finish a book. I spend plenty enough time writing
Okay.
as it is. I honestly, I'm just being honest and upfront.
Gotcha. All right. So either myself or Sonia, you want to flip for it?
You got a pen?
Oh, you mean,
I left my pen. We just needed like someone to scribe.
oh, for tonight? I think
Well,
that's full
No,
time.
no, I think
I think it's full
full-time.
time.
Oh, well then, yeah, no.
Or if you scribe at night, I'll type it in. We can.
Here you go. You can have that.
Don't forget, we're gonna condense. It's gonna be on it.
Yeah. So I guess we should maybe wait to
Yeah,
look,
maybe at
see if we
HRC.
can convert these 2 subcommittees into 1 subcommittee. And then I think, so we can probably discuss a new secretary at the meeting as a whole.
Well, I'm already the secretary of the other one.
You are, so would you like to just
If we condense,
be
it
on
makes
the record
sense.
as the secretary for both?
Combining it,
Until
which
we
one?
combine.
Yeah, if we combine it.
Okay.
So are you combining community relations and intergroup relations?
We're
Okay,
going to
those-
propose that at our
Those are
next
the 2 I'm
meeting.
on, so
Doesn't it make sense? I think at this point,
I
it
think
makes
that
sense.
would be fine.
This is education,
Correct.
Yes. I
So
know.
you
Oh,
are
wait, oh, sorry. No,
combining
I'm not on.
community and intergroup.
No, we're
Well-
basically just talking. We need to approve that at HRC is what we're saying.
But which, I'm sorry, which again are you going to combine?
You're saying that we combine the education group and also the intercommittee.
No,
I'm sorry,
I think we
interrelations.
should do community and
Okay.
interrelations
Oh,
together.
community
only on one of
relations.
those.
Okay.
I'll be honest, at this point, I mean, we might not be there, but we could wean to be there to do employment and education. And then we'd have just 2 meetings. But we might not be there yet until we hone the initiatives down. Okay, so we're gonna look at our initiatives. Looks like our first initiative is gonna be social service structures, programming, and outreach efforts. It says, members agreed to assign Miss Johnson. She had mentioned about the West Milton City Schools. I can give an update. I've gotten permission to do it from Chris. I'm super excited. Like, our school has already hired a social emotional teacher.
That's neat.
I believe her name is Megan. Am I right?
Megan Campbell. Correct.
Megan Campbell. Yeah, that's really awesome. It's a step in the right direction. Of course, it's one. We might need more in the future, but I think we probably have to talk to Chris to see about his thoughts and funding and, you know, how busy she is right now, what's going on. I think that's a pretty worthy conversation. For that, this is the assignment that Stephanie Johnson was assigned to look at the West Milton model.
Mhm.
Now we kind of have our own, so we might just want to reach out to Mr. Piper to see if, or I don't know, David, if you're able to, if we can glean questions through you, possibly.
Yeah, that's fine.
That might be another way to do that too. I believe she's full-time
That is correct.
and she reaches all the schools, right?
That's also correct.
Yeah, she actually, I know one of her assignments was to go to what we call the alternative field house, alternative study, and actually to kind of comb through, to ask the kids and to be paying attention for kind of the gap issues that we've all talked about or have experienced. And she was doing that as of last week. And if you're able to get us anything on that, I don't know, like with the
Yeah.
schools, I don't know what she can and cannot disclose.
I mean, I guess what would we be looking, what information would we be looking for?
I think one, like, help me out. Can we get an overview of possible issues that she's handling without names? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would, I mean, she just started,
Okay,
that would take a while. And I know that we're also doing the
survey.
survey throughout the district, and my guess is the results from that would take a while to compile
I agree with
as
that.
well.
Maybe just even, and maybe we might want to have Megan come to talk about what her
What
job
she's doing there.
description is and what she does plan to do, what the school's already thinking about. That probably will make the
Yeah,
most sense.
I think that's a great idea. And then
Okay.
we don't have to have David pushing back and
Are
forth.
you able to reach out to Megan for us?
Sure.
Or Dave, right?
Or Dave?
You're in the same
whoever?
school thing?
Well, yeah, I'll talk to Chris, but
I feel like Salome keeps the line of our guest speakers. That's why I was like, do you want to do that? But however you guys want to get that done.
I'll talk to Chris.
Okay.
It's fine. I don't know what the answer will be. I know, I'll just be upfront. I know there was some concern after the last guest
Mm-hmm.
that we had. Chris didn't think it went very well.
Yeah.
I mean, we could always extend the invitation, but I'm just being upfront about what the response may be.
So maybe we probably should have conversations to vet ourselves as,
That
so you can say, this is what will be different, or this is what will be.
that would probably be a good idea.
And her name is Megan Campbell.
That's correct.
I can tell you off the top of my head, I know Haywood is doing, I think it's called Multicultural Monday. I apologize if I get any words off, but it was essentially from studies that show when you introduce things earlier in a kid's life, it becomes normalized. So he reached out to all the parents and said, hey, do you want to share any culture, Polish, women, ethnicity, whatever it is. So they're working on that as well at the elementary level. Like they mentioned that their multicultural group was the biggest group they've ever had in Troy's history. They have 100+ students. They had to hire somebody on staff just to do the multicultural group after the George Floyd stuff. Well, that's pretty cool. So I think at this point it's worthy to see if we can re-invite back and just kind of see where everybody's at.
I think if we can't, if they're willing to come, there's lots of other people that we can have serve, as that same spot filler.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So Dave, if you could figure that out and then just let us know, and if not, that's fine. We can find some other people to come back
Okay,
in.
I'll find out for sure.
Okay.
I know it had been discussed, but I don't think there was any sort of formal.
In the next initiative is diversity training for all staff and students. And you guys are getting ready to have some sort of training, or did you just?
We have continuous training online.
Okay. Was there something in regards to diversity that?
That was a portion of it.
Okay.
Miss Phillips asked me to update you that she reached out to ED and they said that right now they're not offering diversity classes, but they plan to do it after New Year's. And she told me that she'll tell you more about it when she'll be attending the meeting next
Okay.
time.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Felder mentioned training, multicultural diversity director. So Kane's not here to report. I mentioned the 2-day, and the 2-day Bridges Out of Poverty training is definitely on board. At this point, it seems like we have a couple different. Should we put something together, and then if someone from the school comes, just offer
Yes.
those different trainings.
And so I think that's why Mrs. Phillips was going to reach out to UD. She was going to get information on what they were doing,
Okay.
so we could at least give that to towards city schools if they wanted to partake in it or not.
Okay. So then we just need to come up with a kind of a one sheet of
Right. Of what we
things. Okay,
would like them to take a look at,
nice.
certainly.
Reach out to private schools. No one's reached out to the private schools.
I've reached out.
Okay.
So regarding Troy Christian, they have an initiative after the George Floyd incident. They put together a panel that will be talking about how to make sure our kids are clear on the differences between I think they're looking from an economic standpoint and also a race standpoint at trainings for their staff and also for their students. And I can gather more information once that gets fully developed. It's right now in the planning process, so I don't have any concrete information on it.
Okay. I think it might be beneficial to reach out to Mr. Sadler as well. They're also coming up with, I think it was Bailey that talked about if somebody didn't tell him like about a specific scholarship or certain scholarships, that he would not be able to be in college right now. And they are coming up with their own grassroots. They're willing to basically mentor somebody that's getting ready to go to college in regards to grants, grant writing. They're willing to go to schools and look with people. I mean, they are really going above and beyond. It inspired me to the point where I'm like, I'll put $100 on that scholarship if you want to match.
Yeah.
So they really are going out of their way to try to make an impact in regards to the disparity. So I would reach out to the Sadlers and maybe have them come, because they'll be way better presenters than me right now. And they can say all the things that they're doing as well. Because I think it would be beneficial for us to support
Yes.
a group like that's doing something like that.
Or at least be a bridge, right?
Yeah, and I can reach out to them or Salome, however you want to do it. I don't want to all of us reach out at once and then we have too many speakers, or so just let me know when is the
Would you like
appropriate.
them to come to a subcommittee meeting or a committee as a whole?
The focus is education. What they have is really good. So I think then we kind of decide that the speakers that we know people will have more questions will probably be at HRC.
Yeah.
I'd probably have them at HRC
Okay.
then.
Let's add them to a list. They'll be pushed out, but
Yeah. And then him and Chris are working like hand in hand with this. So Chris might say, hey, Maurice, I feel comfortable that Maurice can speak for both sides. Yeah, it'd be really cool if we get a publication that's like, I don't know, like Troy City Schools We Care or something, and just have like all these potential trainings that they could do to show their support for the
Right.
city. Cool.
I mean, there's other cities that are doing the same thing. So we could probably just look at like Cleveland, we can look at Columbus, we can look at Cincinnati, because they have all these issues. Actually, I was reading something from the FBI.gov that was saying that they were having a lot of tension in Cincinnati and also in Columbus after all these incidents have happened. And so they're saying that they want more training in school systems. So that kind of ties in perfectly. So I'll go back and find that article and send it to you so
Oh,
we can review
perfect.
it.
Okay. Mr. Felder wanted data from other schools regarding diversity training. So that probably goes into what you're saying.
Yes.
Is there anything else that we've missed for initiative 2? Do you want to add or delete or move around?
No, we just need to wait on Mr. Feltner
Okay.
to get back on those 3 bullet points. And Mrs. Phillips.
Okay, initiative 3, interviews with students regarding their perceptions, needs, goals, and ideas. And I will note that I did go ahead and ask the question to Mr. Piper. Is it feasible or possible if the surveys could be taken, let's say if I'm at the Lincoln Center, or if I'm at the Troy Rec, or maybe I'm at the local library? The point was that they realized through their training that sometimes kids, people, humans can't be transparent if they're taking surveys or focus groups when they're in the same setting. You know, like I'm afraid my teacher might get mad at me or whatever. So I posed that, and he was open to, having kids do it possibly off-site. Now, he said he had to check with, whoever makes it or whatnot, but he was open to that. I thought that was pretty cool. The question I did not ask, and I apologize, I didn't ask if we could take our questions and add them or see his questions.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't ask that. I think I just got so excited all the things that they were doing that I had forgot to ask that question. But I think David could ask that question.
What's the question?
At one point, the committee decided that they wanted to come up with some, I guess, non-biased questions to add onto the survey in addition to what the school was going to do. Like, would they possibly be open to allowing us to put some questions
On the ones that are being distributed through the school?
Yes.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I think.
I didn't think that would
I
probably be able, because
Yeah,
the school.
I don't believe that would be the case
Okay.
from my discussions with him.
Okay.
Yeah, I think last meeting we had discussed that we needed to just come up with our own thought process on what that should look like so we could understand how to drive the data from it.
Okay. So is that, we're still doing that then?
Yes.
So need unbiased set of data. So for this one, help me dictate the notes of this, because it's saying needs non-biased set of data, third party to conduct the survey. We're saying we are that party.
We are the third party and we have to come up with the questionnaire format. So I believe what we'll have to do is to come up with a, what we'd like the outcome to be. And then we can come up with all the questions for it.
Is there any liability to ask minors questions if we're not the school?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't believe.
I really don't know. I mean, the whole topic of education and the school system, just to keep it in focus, the HRC being a city commission, you're offering your support, you're offering these tools. It's really up to the schools, whether it's in Troy, Miami East, Troy Christian, whoever, whether or not they want to go the next step with it. So, the question of confidentiality,
Right.
and other legal questions, that's just another layer on top of the whole voluntary.
I just can't imagine somebody spending a lot of money with a third party to create something, and I just can't imagine them letting us. I mean, maybe they would. I don't know, but I don't have much reference with the school. I know that he's open for the conversations, for the comments, the stories, the whatnot, but I just don't know what they would do. And if David's saying he doesn't think, David's the expert in the room in regards to the school, so I don't know.
Yeah, we are planning to, the schools are planning to stick with the survey that they're using.
Okay.
It was sent to every student, and parents were also, every parent was sent a form giving them the opportunity to opt out and not have their children take the survey. So it's not mandatory.
What kind of questions do they ask on the
I honestly have not seen it. Megan would be able to say a lot more about that than I.
David, did it already
What?
come out? I'm sorry, I don't think I.
If it doesn't, it is soon. I
Okay,
think there may have been some technical
gotcha.
issues because it is being delivered online.
Okay, I don't think it came out.
Okay.
So I don't.
What kind of topics do they cover?
I would hate.
Curriculum, is it?
No, I think it's more. I don't think it's curriculum. I think it's more based on, the social and emotional
Yeah,
side of things for kids.
that's what I was
That's
getting.
excellent
The
data.
connection, the
Yeah.
social, emotional.
Correct.
I feel like there might be like trying to see if there's a future. You
Yeah,
know,
I-
outside of,
I don't know if I don't know if it's multiple choice. I don't know if it's rate from 1 to 5 your feelings on this. I don't know if it's short answer. I have not seen it myself, so I would really hate to go into too much detail about something that I have never actually laid eyes upon myself.
Do they administer that every year?
This is new,
yeah,
so I don't know. This is the first time we've had a social emotional learning coordinator. I think that was made possible through a new grant from the state. I think Governor DeWine put that in place. So we took advantage of that. And I think there's some learning as we go with that. So this is definitely the first year we've done such a survey, in part because this is the first time we've had someone who's able to
yeah.
administer it and put it out there and collect the data and then deal with it and decide how we're going to move forward with it. So this is new to all of us as well.
It almost makes me feel like, how can we support the social emotional? You know what I mean? Like, because if she finds out, whoa, and there needs to be 10 of me, or whatever. Like, how can we best support you in doing that? That might be a possibility if they're open to, again, in school. I'm not sure about that.
Do you know who would be able to see the data that gets returned? Is that going to be publicly
I don't know.
published? Not sure.
I'm not sure.
I think that kind of covers what we're trying to do, right?
Yeah,
So,
I think for us, like, we were just interested in the questions.
yeah,
Making sure, when kids have lower language syntax, that, they're able to say, even if there was an open, that they could write in their own words and experience. I think that's always helpful too. You think they'd be open to letting us see it?
we need to figure out who's administering it and trying to get in contact that way. I think we need to have a discussion. So, who is over the testing? Do you know?
Megan Campbell was in charge of it. But I would get in charge. I would talk to Chris about the possibility of seeing
Okay. What's
Do you
his
want
last
him to-
name?
Piper.
Chris Piper.
Mhm. They're dealing with a new diversity too. It's called online learning. And I think that's also, in all fairness though, I think that is a new diversity that we need to pay attention to too, because it's literally are social emotionally suffering, the ones that aren't able to get the online. I've heard a lot of teachers talk about that lately.
They said though that like a lot of them, they're learning there how you essentially would learn at home.
Yeah, and they're unlearning social
Yeah,
cues and skills. Yeah.
because I know some of my football players are like, we have to do this next year. I'm doing this at home.
That's interesting. I know for the kids with IEPs, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? 'Cause if you got behavioral, technically, I believe when you're on an IEP, you can't be pushed to an online necessary all the time. So I think they're running into some pretty tricky areas. I think the two best, or the three, would be Sadler, Megan, and Piper. Out of those three, maybe they come up with one. Maybe it's Megan. and maybe the Sadlers come in conjunction with the other. The other thing, we're talking about education, the Freedom Complex. That's a good educational source too. Remember we went to do the tour.
Okay, pickleball.
Yeah, that might be it. Again, if we're talking about education and how to address learning, diversity education, that's being built. That's not anything we have to recreate, but how could we support that and maybe connect the school so they can do field trips, they can come out, and also our community, because anyone can go in and you can teach your kids about the culture within our county. So yeah, that might be something worth
Is
putting on
that
the
currently open,
application.
or did you say it was being?
It's in construction
Yeah,
right now.
it's in
So,
progress. Right
yeah, it's in progress. But the whole ideology that Mr. Hamilton has done, Mr. Hamilton was blessed to teach Black history in Pickle City schools for 30 years. I thought that was normal. I did not realize that he was blessed to have that opportunity. So what he did, he's building the Freedom Complex. Instead of trying to, get state and federal to open up a Black history class or argue about American history, he's built a place in the community that schools and individuals can come and learn history and learn Black history, talking about women, like all diversity. And I didn't realize Rossville slaves also lived in Troy. I thought it was all just Piqua, and it's not just Piqua. So I think that could be a really good partner, that we could build a bridge with the school and him and our community.
I think, as we discussed this, that it does go back to, I guess at the end of the day, a survey, just to see what the needs are for the children that are being affected. And I want to try to keep us kind of tied to the reason that we're here. I think the reason that this commission was put together was because of what's happening throughout the cities of the U.S. And so I think we want to keep the focus there. And so I feel that we need to figure out how to understand the emotional aspects of the children within the school systems that have to deal with what they're dealing with, and how we can better support from I think from a teacher, administration, student type discussion. So that all kind of stems in training, but what exactly do you need to train on? And it's definitely some probably diversity. It's probably trying to understand the emotional needs of the students that are there right now, right? So,
And the trend that you'll see within that is minority, but it's poverty too. So how can I best help the minority and poverty, and like it's all kind of, at least here specifically from living here for so many years,
well,
that's what we.
so there's Black students with issues, there's white students with issues, and I think, as we look at race, there's significant needs on both sides of the fence. I don't think it's just all Black. I think that there's white kids that are like, well, I wonder how these Black people are seeing me now that all this is happening as well. And so it's not just one-sided. I don't mean it to be that way, but I feel that we really have to try to understand the emotional needs of the children. And I think that kind of comes through a survey. And then I think after we understand what the survey is, then we can go to the mayor and say, here's what our recommendation is. Here's what I feel we should do. And that based in the available trainings that are there for teachers, for the administrative staff. I think anyone that's in the school system that's working with children should have to go through those trainings to make sure they're clear
Right.
on how to deal with those emotional needs.
I agree. I just don't know how to get. We advise the mayor. I don't know how to. You know what I mean?
No.
That the issue with, like, I know the schools, they definitely need to do that. You're completely right. I just don't know how to impose that. What's the word I'm looking for? We got to get them to come back and to be open and to want. You know what I mean? Because the school is separate from the city?
Well, we can only, so I think then we need to look at case studies from other cities that have done it, that have been successful with it. And there's hundreds of cities across America that have done this already.
If the survey is critical to the next step, is there if the school says we're not going to release those, and I don't know if they are or they aren't.
Yep.
Do we have a backup plan?
Yep. So I think the backup plan is to look at other cities, same size as Troy or around about the same size, and we look at the case studies. I think that's the only way to do it.
If we look at the case studies, is that like gonna give us a platform to get, is that what you mean to use this case
Yeah, I
studies
think-
as a platform?
Yeah, I think that if we can say these cities look like Troy, kind of, and they have gone through the same issues, kind of, and here's what they did, and it was received in a very positive way. You know, I think that's what we're looking for here. Because I think at the end of the day, our goal is to try to heal whatever traumas may be in a positive way with our city, right? Because we, you know, again, I keep saying this, I really don't want to be sitting in my living room and watching some powder keg explode with Troy, Ohio on the headline of CNN News. Like, I don't want us to be there. So we have to try to deal with the student traumas that are there right now, so present in many of these students' lives, not only Black, but also white kids as well. And I think that if we can kind of find out how to best serve that population of our city, I think we're going to have a very healthy city, very, very healthy city.
So then do we do the study like at the rack and at the center, like places that,
I think that if the school, I feel that if the school can't give us access to that for a lot of different reasons, they may not be able to give us access. But if they can't, then we have the ability to advertise, right? So we're going to get a budget passed so that we can advertise these things. We can use Facebook, we can use Instagram, we can go out to these different places who employ tons of people here in Troy. And of course, we could probably do some, you know, some links on our website so that we can get the word out, because we need to figure out what's going on in the minds of our children. And I think that's where we'll start the healing process from. I think that's what's going to help us to better understand how we can help the educational departments. And they can take the information or they can do nothing with it. But I think that if we do the research and we give them the ability to understand how this will help them, it'll be very difficult for them to turn that away.
do you agree with that, David? You're in the school.
I think that there's a lot of concern about, we have a Board of Education that provides oversight. And I feel like there's some concern that, you know, it's our job, I guess, letting the city in any more than how Patrick or the city would feel if the Troy City School Board were to say, well, we'd like to take a look at how you guys fight fires. I think that's,
Yeah.
I think it's all right. The conversation needs to be had with the superintendent or the school board. But I'm just trying to be honest that, you know, there may be, it's probably not going to be welcome. Yes, come in. We're going to do everything.
Yeah.
And I understand that viewpoint as well. They are two separate entities.
I think, you know, just to add to your point, both the city and the school systems are tax-paid entities.
Correct.
They are for the people. They're of the people and for the people. And so if there's a way to enhance, I would assume that both parties would be open to discussion. So
Right.
I don't see it as
It's
being a
absolutely
problem.
worth a try.
Yeah, I don't see it as being an issue. I think we have a conversation it's an intelligent conversation, and I think if it makes sense, then they do it. If it doesn't, then they don't. And that's probably because they already have things in place that we don't know about.
So
Which
then
is,
we need to get moving on that.
we do.
Okay.
So I think that's a big initiative. And I guess I'll do the research.
Okay. And we all will come up with questions. Is it time to start shooting you the questions, or do you want to do
Yes.
the research first?
I guess let me do this. I will do the research. I'll try and look at some cities across America to some of the Detroit.
I'd
You know.
love to ask the Detroit Freedom Chasers what questions because they just graduated.
Oh,
We could ask them what questions
Okay, yeah.
should be asked, and
Detroit
that
Freedom
way
Chasers.
we can say that this didn't come from us, it came from
Yeah.
recently graduated or students.
So let's set up a meeting with them.
What do you want to meet? I was like, you have one right there.
Hello.
Say if this is really where you feel your heart is going, I mean, just have them come next meeting. Let's just hash the questions out. You know, but, you know what I mean?
Let's have a private meeting.
The private one.
Yep.
Okay.
We can give the notes back to the HRC so they can
Private.
have it.
All right, so I'm flipping the page and it's basically just kind of leading into the survey for the kids. So we can table all that for the
Yes.
meeting then.
I really have to check that about the
Yeah,
private meetings.
just to make
Yeah,
sure. that-
because
We-
the
we
way
just
I
have to give
understand it, well,
communication.
I'm sorry.
We just need to give notes and communication back, right? That we're going to meet as I understood it from our attorney. We can publish it, and then we'll let you know that we're meeting, and the emails will just copy you on, and then we'll send you our meeting notes. I think that suffices, right? And then the information that you get, you just keep on file, and then we'll bring it back to our meeting.
I do have
I'm
to.
not sure. I'd check
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah,
doesn't-
I don't know.
I believe that when there's a certain number of people
Yeah.
in any meeting, a certain number of committee members, I don't know what that number is,
Over two.
then I believe it has to be made available to the public.
Remember, because we could go.
Yes,
meet 'cause we were
Because
two
when it's
less.
prearranged, it's different.
Oh, wait a minute.
You
So
could
we
meet
have
with-
one less person in our meeting, right?
We can-
So we have 6. So as long as we have less than 3, is the way I understand. So if we have
Right.
2.
I have to double check. So I'll double check it tomorrow and
We have
I'll
an
let
expert
you
here,
know.
right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Because it is, so imagine you being a listener, community member, and your commission, team members of your commission saying that they'll have a private meeting discussing the HRC business.
Well, no, well-
I understand, but some people
Gotcha.
might not feel comfortable with that because you're prearranging your meeting and you're already saying that you'll be meeting privately to talk about HRC business.
Well, I guess I shouldn't use the word private. So I misspoke. But what I meant is that we'll meet, we'll document it so that it's in our notes.
I'll talk to you,
Okay.
city clerk and law director tomorrow, and I'll let you know.
Okay, perfect.
I'm assuming you're not meeting tomorrow. You don't
No.
want.
All right. So let me get my notes down here. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. You have to be aware that Kane is both. So he has 2 hats.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he's an HRC and a TFC.
Oh, okay.
All those acronyms. Let me know when.
I'm good. Thank you very much for your patience.
So now initiative 4, educational pathways. And I was supposed to look at the stadium program. I got to have a little, I shared actually my daughter's experience, and I think that's kind of sparked Megan going over and checking things out. I don't have the information in regards to how they're set up. I just know from my previous experience with my daughter, but it's been a couple of years. I do know from then, it was underneath the football stadium. The barrier of inclusiveness, I think it's a door. I don't think, in my opinion,